Hi everyone, in this video you will learn how you can efficiently work with spreadsheets in order to analyze and edit your data. For this we use a tool called Mito, which is a great jupyter lab extension. So I'm actually going to hand over to Jake from the Mito team now, who will give us a quick tour on how this works.
Hey, this is Jake from Mito. I'm going to show you how you can quickly generate Python and analyze your data using the Mito extension to Jupyter. So Mito is a tool you can download into your Jupyter environment. And yeah, let's get started. So first thing we're going to do is get data into the tool. So we can do that multiple ways. One thing we can do is we can insert a data frame as an argument if you're already working with some data above. We can also delete this here. We can also pass in files directly from our file system. So I'm going to add these two CSVs, Amtrak 2010 and zip code 2010. And we'll see our data gets put into the tool as data frames. And below, we will generate this code. So everything we do in the Mito sheet will generate the equivalent Python. So this code here is turning these CSVs into data frames so we can start working with them and generating scripts based on them. Now that we have the data in, we can see these two files share this zip code column. So we can actually join them on the zip code. And we can do this within the tool without actually having to type any code. So we'll click our merge button here. It'll automatically detect that this zip code column is shared between the two files. And then we can join just by leaving these as the settings. And we can also decide what columns we want to keep. We'll decide to keep all of them for now. So I'll just close this. And now you see we've created this new data frame, which is the joined data set on this zip code column. And if I scroll down below, I'll see we generated the code, the equivalent pandas code for that join. So you can see how we can generate, what is decently complex syntax really quickly with the tool. Beyond that, if we want to now investigate this joined data set, let's say we wanted to look at how many zip codes for each state are present. A really great way to do this would be to use a pivot table. So I'm going to click our pivot table feature. As the row, we will put the state, and as the value, we will put the zip code, and we can use all these different aggregation methods. We're going to use count here. And now we get a pivot table of the amount of zip codes per each state that are present in this data set. And below, you'll see we get the equivalent code for that pivot table here. We can also order this. We can sort it in ascending or descending order to maybe get a better look at the data. So I'll click this column filter button. Here we can add filters, which I'll do in a second. But first, I'm just going to show we can put it in ascending or descending order to sort the data in the way that we want. When we do that, we get the equivalent code for that sort. But we can also add filters as well. So I'll add a simple filter here. Let's say we just want to look at the values that are greater than 60. Only one present. Maybe let's add a little more. Greater than 40, let's say a little more generous. We can see the data set adjusts in real time as we change the number that we're filtering on. And below, we generate the code for that filter, which is really valuable. Beyond that, we can also investigate the data. I'm going to take this filter off really quickly. We can investigate the data a bit more visually. So we provide a distribution graph or a frequency chart for any column, as well as summary statistics for the column. So a really good way to get some high-level information on the data that you're dealing with. So I'll close this. We can also interact with the data in somewhat of a spreadsheet format using spreadsheet functions. So we can add a column to any data set and then do operations using normal spreadsheet functionality, like spreadsheet functions like concat, for example. You click on this documentation button, you will get a list of all the spreadsheet functions that we support. It varies from numerical things to a lot of data cleaning properties, left, right, trim, mid, functions like that. And we can also do conditional things like ifs, ands, and ors, really valuable for manipulating your data and munging it and cleaning it and getting it in the format that's best for you. And I'll just show you a quick example of how that works. Let's say we want to concatenate two pieces of data together. So this will concatenate the columns. Here's our concatenated data. And below, we get the equivalent code. And then the last thing I just want to point out, I won't get into it too deeply, but because we're generating a script here, what we can do is we can save these analyses and then replay them on other data sets. And all we have to do for that is hit the save button, and what it does is it saves the logic here, it saves the steps that we've taken, and then we can replay those steps to a similarly structured data set. So you can imagine if you have a process where you're analyzing a similar set of data, maybe it's a data set that's being updated maybe once a day, once a month, twice a day, once a week, whatever it is, you can sort of automate that process within the tool. It's sort of like a macro within the Python environment. But definitely more functionality we could go into, but I'll sort of leave here with a high-level look into the tool. Essentially, it's a great way to generate code really quickly, and in a lot of examples, code that can be a little bit hard to do by hand. It might take some time to go look up the exact right syntax. We essentially give you that in this point-and-click format, and then also a great way to investigate your data a bit more visually. So yeah, I hope you sign up to use the tool, and would love to meet you at some point. Thanks.
Alright, thank you, Jake, for this tutorial. I hope you all enjoyed this, and if you think this can be helpful in your own workflow, then check out Mito with the link below. Also, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and thank you so much, and see you in the next video.